in that direction. And I kind of abandoned the whole thing through the 90s because it didn't seem like there was very much interest in it. And my delusions of grandeur were not good enough to sustain it. So I just kind of let it slide. And then in the 90s, I picked it back up again and started running with it. And got on the internet and then found people interested in it, like Gregory. And and so when people are interested in what you're doing, then it gives you some energy to continue on. And I'm glad that's happened because I've discovered a lot of things in this area that I would never have discovered before if I didn't have help from my friends. So it's
nicely done.
Yeah, it's great. It's been great. Yeah.
So do you do any more graphic-based work as well? And
yeah, actually, mostly I haven't done anything three-dimensional in 30 years.
Wow.
This is the first thing I've done three-dimensional in 30 years, and that's because these guys like Matt and Robert kind of twisted my arm and said, especially Matt, this space, I want you to deal with this space. I don't want any two-dimensional stuff here. I want you to deal with this space. And I said, well, I mean, I was at a loss for a little while, and then it was like, Robert said, take one of your masterpieces and turn it into a three-dimensional thing. And I thought, okay, yeah, well, I mean, some of these concepts were done two-dimensionally. I mean, the whole thing was done really two-dimensionally at first. I mean, it's formulated in 3 dimensions in your mind, but it was, outputted on a two-dimensional thing, just like we look at anything that's, flat, but we get 3 dimensions out of it because our minds work that way, or it can get 3 dimensions out of it. So most of my work is two-dimensional. They're lambda duratrans. It's all digital artwork mounted in light boxes. So, but they're all mathematical poetry, a mixture of the aesthetics of art, mathematics, poetry, and visual art, all kind of blended together. Sure.
Any thoughts on sacred geometry, and do you incorporate that into your
I'm real skeptic about sacred geometry. I think that math as a language talks about things, and that the language of math points in directions. And sacred geometry, to me, is some really, it's really interesting geometry per se from a math perspective, but as far as reaching into this spiritual thing, and I'm very interested in spirituality, but I don't see the connection. To me, it's like they're just kind of psyching out on this geometry and saying, wow, this is cool. And it is cool. It really is cool. Especially when you get into things like the golden ratio. And all of those things are present in that stuff. And the golden ratio is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And, but, it's not, I don't see the mysticism in it. No one's really been able to make me see that yet. I'm open, I'm listening.
Any consideration of articulating the poem in oral form, in an audio format?
Yeah, I've done that before. I used to be a part of, when I lived in Philadelphia, standard language like poetry, and I know language poetry has a specific meaning, but I'm just talking about traditional poetry in a group. And I used to do that, and I'd make a sign and stand up in front of everybody and go through the equation and kind of illustrate what's in the equation, where it comes from, and how it relates back to physics, and kind of put together a performance thing.
But I mean, in terms of the spatialization of it, like I'm sure you're aware of surround sound, and where you can actually spatialize the input, your input.
Those are great ideas. That's the direction that one could go. Yeah. Do it.
No.
This is
anything else?
Thank you.
Everybody for coming. I really appreciate this. This is one of the best moments of my life.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you for having us.